Wildfires that burn homes but spare blue roofs, beams of light from the sky, cities rising from ash, wired with surveillance. In this episode of Cryptic Accounts, we uncover the terrifying intersection of directed energy weapons, unnatural burn zones, and quiet rollouts of smart cities. From Texas to Maui to Los Angeles, the pattern is clear. Precision fires followed by precision control. With military whistleblowers, weapons patents, and billion-dollar land grabs in the shadows, we ask the question no one wants to answer. What if these disasters aren't accidents, but strategy?
This is Cryptic Accounts. By paranoid people, for paranoid people. Cryptic Accounts.
Welcome to Cryptic Accounts, a podcast by paranoid people for paranoid people. I'm Patrick Ryan, and today we're connecting the dots you didn't even know existed. Wildfires burning through with unnatural precision, cities born as a digital prison, and shadowy alliances between governments, corporations, and weapons that defy imagination. Strap in. This isn't a theory. It's a blueprint. So we're back. Thank you for being here. Hit the like, share, subscribe. We appreciate everything you're doing. Find us all over social media. Come check out the TikToks. Come check out the Instagram. Do all the things. If you want to support us, go to Patreon, and we appreciate that. Check out the new website, crypticaccounts.com. I think that's my whole spiel. Dennis?
Well, hello.
How's it going?
Welcome.
This is something we've talked about a lot.
Yes.
And I'm going to tie a bunch of stuff together. It's going to be horrifying and fun.
I want to know how the algorithm likes it.
Oh boy, we're not. Ugh.
We're going into Death Star territory.
Yes, that's basically where we're going. Sam?
Yep.
Hello.
Hi.
How's it going?
Why you always gotta talk to Dennis first?
I did. Actually, I think last week I talked to you first. I feel like there have definitely been times I talked to you first.
Yeah, you did. I edited it, and yep, it's true.
Did you swap? Okay.
Yep.
I'm like, no, I switch it up. If anything, I always put Mikey last.
You know what? We're just
Yeah, don't complain.
we're gonna have to look into the past episodes then.
Yeah, I think the footage will be in my favor. The record will show.
Okay. Well, about the episode, we've had many conversations about this.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
About the topic for this week?
Yes.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
have. This
Yeah.
is one I've been tracking for a while, and I brought a lot of proof. I think I'm going to convince you of all of this.
You think so?
I don't know how you're going to lie with footage from the companies that are making the things that I'm about to talk about.
Okay. Let's go for it.
Mikey Mike,
Hey, man.
making me sound good, making me look good. We appreciate you being here.
Thanks. Try my best.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you.
I've actually gotten compliments on your work. Like, people
Really?
wanted to know how you're making us sound this good.
Man, I'm just doing my thing. I don't know.
Doing great. So modest.
I have so much
modest.
fun hanging out with you guys, talking about crazy stuff. So
That's a good time.
it's my pleasure.
So we need to address it because I know Sam's going to get to it at some point. I still have the mustache.
Yep.
That's because I realized after we recorded that we record several weeks in advance. So any poll or anything that could have happened couldn't have happened yet because it hasn't come out yet. So the mustache is back, and that's why.
It's not just back, it's still remains.
You know, it's been interesting watching because, again, now I have like a full week and a half of living a mustache life. And
Mustache life.
I'm living a mustache life. And it's weird seeing like the people that react to it positively and negatively. I'm appealing to a different category of women now, which I don't know how I feel about that yet, but I am. And
Are they into firefighters?
I think a lot of them are. I have gotten asked if I was a firefighter several times.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Mhm.
And then I got my hair all cleaned up, and they're like, military cop, what's going on here? And I'm like, nope, none of those things.
Yeah, you're
None
sending
of
some
those
really,
things.
really confusing vibes right now.
And I'm kind of enjoying it.
Yeah, got to keep them on their toes, Patrick.
I'm leaning into it a little bit. But yeah.
So is your mustache right into that cup.
Yes, I got to keep it trim. It gets in the way. Same problem with a beard. This part still factors the same.
Doesn't it tickle? Like
No.
Like any?
It's not poking me. No.
I don't know. I don't have a mustache, so
I mean,
I
you
don't
can
know.
grow one out.
We don't have to tell people about that.
I'm saying if you wanted to, you could.
Not that full. It'd be patchy and gross looking.
I'm sure there's something you could take.
There absolutely is something I could take.
See? We could get you on a mustache.
I think Alex might have a problem with that,
I
though.
guarantee your husband would have a problem with
He
that.
goes, I'm like, baby, you ready for a mustache ride? He's like, oh no, God, why?
I think he'd still love you anyway, though. You and your full mustache.
It would be a different kind of love.
So now the question is, because I think by the time this all happens, we will have probably put at least the mustache part out as shorts or something. So we'll see if you get third week of a mustache.
Cross your fingers.
And it's going to be interesting to see how much anybody
I hope
actually...
you keep it.
You know what? It's not startling me anymore when I see it.
Every time you look in the mirror, like, oh!
The first few times, yeah, I was like, that's me.
I did that on purpose.
That's me. I did that. There were several mornings in the last week that I woke up and forgot that
Oh, no.
I have a mustache now. And it's not like mad, but it's just like a half a second of just like shock, like, oh yeah, I don't have a beard at this point.
Well, now that the shock has worn off, I really do think it looks nice.
I appreciate it. I feel like everybody's kind of gotten used to it.
I'm not going to stop giving you crap about it,
That's
though.
fine. I'm waiting to see how the audience reacts to it and whether or not we're going to see how it pulls. Mm-hmm. I think I'm pulling it off.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm pulling it off. I think you're serious, but it also sounds very sarcastic, and I don't know how to feel about it. Anyway, that's the mustache debrief. Everybody listening in audio is very confused right now, and I'm sorry to them. Go check out the YouTube so that you can see this sweet stash.
Do it.
I just want you to grow it out a little longer on the sides.
You want me to go full?
Just
full?
get a full, what is
See,
it
you
called?
want me to be like ironic about
Fu
it?
Manchu?
I don't think I can pull that off.
You could. Yeah, you could.
I don't know.
Do it, please.
See, I can't grow that part out. Now you have to go beard, and you can't just go add a mustache. It has to be beard.
Okay, what if the viewers want you to do it?
I might. I'm
Do it.
pretty easily influenced. Now you're skewing the vote. See, you're manipulating the results. You're gerrymandering right now.
I'm not gerrymandering. That is not what that means.
It's not.
This is a filibuster.
Listen. So let's get into this. Let's start with the flames, and I'm gonna, as usual, take you down a weird little rabbit hole. So in 2021, Texas burned. In 2023, Maui followed. In 2025, Los Angeles erupted. Officially, these were climate disasters, but survivors tell a different story. One of green and blue beams slicing through smoke, trees igniting from the top down, and blue painted buildings standing untouched amid ruins. So let's start with Texas. The Texas wildfires of 2021 were unlike anything the state had seen, but caught the attention of conspiracy theorists and researchers alike because green lasers were recorded on video as the fires started. Mm-hmm. So we're about to watch this video. The video has multiple clips surfaced showing green beams of light descending from the sky, followed by immediate ignition of the ground below. These weren't fleeting or ambiguous. They were clear, focused, and deliberate. One video shot by a rancher near Bastrop shows a green beam striking a dry field. Within seconds, flames erupted and spread rapidly. So let's go to our first video here.
What?
Have you seen this, Dennis?
No.
It's not a video.
Wait.
What?
No freaking way.
Hold on, you want to see again? There you go.
What?
So that's Texas. Sorry, I'm like controlling all the things
way.
right now. So here's a different one of it. I think this one has sound.
It's from multiple angles.
I think this might be.
Okay, first of all, why was he recording?
He was just outside. It happened more than once. That's one that he caught. Like the report said that they saw several beams. Like he caught that one. It's like he saw it here. I think this one has sound. So that was the same video, I guess.
What?
Pause. There we go. So, but here's where it gets even weirder. During a press conference addressing the disaster, President Joe Biden made an offhand comment that raised eyebrows. So let's go to the next video now. This is Joe Biden.
Okay, is that actually what he said?
Yes. I mean, you can hear him. It's just it's Joe Biden, so he's mumbling.
I
I've
know,
seen
but-
it before. That's what he said.
So if you couldn't understand it, and obviously the video's on the screen, but I'll read it for the people listening
Oh
to
my
the audio.
God, he looks so senile.
He's standing
I
there.
know, can you believe that was like 6 months ago? Or
I
what?
believe this is a Senate meeting. He says, quote, "You notice when you fly over with a helicopter, those places with blue roofs, they didn't burn. So we got to change that. Anyway," end quote.
Can I see that video one more time?
Yeah, let's watch it again.
He looks insane. Gosh.
And he realizes he's being recorded as he said. Anyway, like,
It is really not even so much of what he's saying, but how he looks is so
yeah.
creepy. He looks, I mean, I don't mean this to be offensive in any way, but like he looks senile. Like he looks, I can't believe that was our president for a hot minute there towards the end. I mean, at least not to get into that, but at least he kind of seemed a little bit coherent, but that was really wild to see.
Well, I mean, there was a lot of rumors that went around that they had like a cocktail that was basically making him coherent. They were just pumping him full of drugs. That's why he kind of
Just
seemed
put
like
him on
sometimes he was on
speed.
top of it and then sometimes he wasn't.
Man, that is sad. I just really feel bad for him.
Oh, it seems like it's dementia or
He's just like a
something.
meat puppet. They were just prancing around
It
everywhere.
kind of seems like it. I mean, there was the whole auto signature thing that was happening with his pardons and everything. Like, he didn't sign those himself. Like, they were like, it was an auto, like, electronic thing.
What happens if the president of the United States is no longer like
I think
able to?
There's an amendment.
That's the
I think it's
26th.
the 25th or 26th.
I think it's the 26th.
There's an amendment that the cabinet
Can basically
move to remove him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but what if they don't agree on it?
Well, the cabinet kind of has to agree
You
on
would
So
it.
they
have
just
to-
let some
and then they
person
re-
with like literal dementia just sit in the presidency,
No,
like.
they remove him.
But if they don't agree, like, does that
Well,
have
that's
to be
what just-
voted?
Well, yeah.
Isn't that kind of what already happened?
It kind of
Political
seems like
process.
they directed him and
They're just like, hey, this is a really easy meat puppet to just move around
That's
and get what
essentially
we
what was
want.
happening. with
That
Biden.
seems that's the there's a fair amount of people that think that's exactly what
Man,
was
poor
happening.
guy.
Yeah. But so he seems like he's unknowing that he's being recorded during that clip, and then he kind of turns, and that's when they like pull back. He like sees the camera and he's like, oh, anyways.
Do you want to hear what the fact check on that one is?
I would love to hear that.
On the green beams?
On the blue roofs.
Okay.
Oh, I have fact checked on the green beans.
Even though we just
I did
watched
too.
green beans.
even though we just watched the former president bring it up.
So
That they got to do something about that.
this is a spokesperson for the White House during the Biden administration, Jeremy M. Edwards, said in an email, quote, "The president was simply referring to building codes and their ability to make homes more resilient against natural disaster."
Blue roofs? That makes sense.
Makes even less sense than what the speculation is, but okay. Yeah, blue roofs. They're more structurally sound. I don't know if you guys knew that. I don't know. Shout out to the roofers. I'm sure you guys know about this. Blue roofs hold up better.
Our government is.
They think we're idiots.
Yes, they don't.
I think that's the big
I will say
takeaway.
it again. They don't like us.
Nope.
They literally don't like us.
Nope.
We
Okay,
are
but
worthless eaters.
I have fact check of the green laser beam.
Okay.
Beam. Damn, I really tried to rehearse that in my head several times.
And everything says it's fake, right?
No, okay, so it says that video was actually posted months before that Texas fire happened.
The thing I read said it was from Chile and it was a transformer explosion.
There's
Oh, that is not a transformer explosion.
That was the official.
I don't know what that was, and maybe it didn't have anything to do with the Texas fire. Maybe it did happen before that, but that was weird.
Oh, I'm about to show you. Don't worry. We're getting to ones that are coming from the companies that are making these things.
Making what things?
The lasers.
There are lasers.
There's lasers.
There are freaking laser
There's
beams.
freaking laser beams.
So
And
Dr. Evil?
I'm going to show you from the companies.
Okay.
The
all right.
laser beams. So at the time with Biden, it seemed like an odd observation, but when you connect it to the blue immunity phenomenon seen in Maui and L.A., it takes on a more sinister tone. Why would a blue painted structure survive while everything around them burned? Was this a clue or a slip of the tongue? So these green lasers and Biden's cryptic remark are eerily similar to the blue beams seen in Maui and L.A., further cementing the theory that these fires were not natural disasters, but orchestrated events. Also, there's burn patterns. So the Texas fires exhibited unusual burn patterns. Entire fields were reduced to ash, while adjacent areas remained completely untouched. I don't know if you've seen those pictures and stuff, where like it'll burn something crazy and then it'll just like cut through.
Yes.
And then there'll just be things that are completely untouched.
Okay, and you don't think that has anything to do with wind?
Not the way it's doing it. It's not like it's everything to the left of it isn't burned. It's like plots that are like,
Was there high wind that day?
I mean, it's Texas. There's always a lot of wind.
Winds are usually any wildfire.
Yeah.
Well, I know that wind can like twist.
Not like that.
I mean, have you ever been to New Mexico and seen a dirt devil?
Yeah, I mean, they had those they had stuff like that in Texas, like the little dust tornado things.
Yeah, but it just kind of shows you how like it can be so concentrated in one specific spot and it can go back and forth and zigzag and it's unpredictable just because the way the wind is hitting each other and forming.
Not with this.
Okay, well, do you have a picture of the patterns?
I don't know if I have pictures of that. But yeah, I don't know. You have anything pulled up?
No. I mean, there's a bunch of... There's just
I was
so
like,
much.
I mainly have videos and patents lined up. Go with me on this, though. So, in some cases, livestock were found dead in fields with no visible burns, suggesting that they were killed by something other than fire. So, whistleblowers. Former military personnel came forward claiming that these green lasers were part of a classified directed energy weapon program. One whistleblower who wished to remain anonymous stated, "These weapons are designed to start fires without leaving a trace. The green lasers are just one of the tools in their arsenal." So even more military personnel and government insiders have come forward claiming that DEWs are being tested and used on civilian populations. One whistleblower even described a classified program called Operation Firestorm, designed to weaponize weather and create controlled disasters. That's from Gazeta Warzowska from the Millennium Report. So according to this whistleblower, DWs can be employed from both ground-based and orbital platforms. Quote, having a ground-based weapon gives the adversary a little more power boost, and they can maintain that system on the ground. But in orbit, you can get a lot closer to the target, explained U.S. Space Force Major Neil Carter. This versatility in deployment options has fueled speculation about their potential use in various scenarios, including the recent wildfires. So these green lasers are eerily similar to blue beams seen in Maui and L.A., further cementing the theory that these fires were not natural disasters, but orchestrated events. So in Maui, residents described laser-like streaks hitting Lahaina historic district moments before the inferno that engulfed Hawaii in 2023. One local shopkeeper recounted, quote, "It was like a sci-fi movie. A bright blue beam streak shot down from the clouds, hit the old courthouse, and poof, the whole block was on fire. No sparks, no warning, just light." End quote. So crystalline blue streaks pierced the smoke-filled sky, followed by explosions of flame. These weren't the orange arcs of downed power lines. This was something else, something targeted. On to L.A. in 2025. Those fires, palm trees burned like candles, and you can find pictures of that where it's palm trees, the top of them is burnt, the bottom isn't. Like they were like the top was on fire. Which, how does that happen? Flames racing from canopy to root, sparing trunks. Firefighters whispered about energy strikes and melted streetlights that weren't hooked to the grid. Investigators documented cases where a single concrete mailbox stood pristine amid a street of melted cars. A blue-painted surf shop survived untouched, flanked by charred ruins. Palm trees burned from the top down, like I said, their trunks eerily intact, a pattern consistent with overhead energy strikes, not ground-level flames. So this does not seem like random destruction. It seems very precise. And the patents don't lie. If you're skeptical about the existence and potential use of directed energy weapons, I saw that nod. Let's talk about the patents. So these aren't just theoretical concepts scribbled on napkins. They're real, documented, and owned by some of the most powerful entities in the world. And they paint a chilling picture of what's possible. So this is a high-energy laser patent. Let me zoom in on this. Can I zoom in? So these are some pictures of just the parts of it. So a gas igniter comparing a heating element and a mounting bushing, like we'll put all this up on the screen. Mikey can zoom in hopefully a little bit for everybody so you can see, but like this is a patent for a directed energy weapon. And there's a bunch you can read about. This is patent US 7626141B2. And it's one of the most telling patents, which is held, this patent that I just showed, by the Department of Defense. It's titled Method and Apparatus for Altering at Least One of a Physical or Chemical Property of a Material. This patent describes a system that uses high-energy lasers to alter the physical or chemical properties of a material. In simpler terms, it's a weapon that can ignite, melt, or vaporize targets from a distance. The patent outlines how laser beam can be focused on a target to generate extreme heat, causing combustion or structural failure. It even mentions the ability to, quote, ignite combustible materials from a distance. This patent explicitly describes a weapon that could be used to start fires remotely. And guess what? Again, owned by the U.S. government.
Makes sense.
So next we'll move on to Raytheon's, which is a defense contractor's, high-powered microwave weapon. So this one, pull this up. This is the patent for this one. This is what it looks like, and we're going to get to some video soon. I think I have a Raytheon video. I know I have one from Boeing. Shout out to last week's episode.
Dude.
Boeing's making some energy weapons. We're going to talk about that here in just a minute.
Hold on just a second.
Okay.
I'm just looking at a government website and just kind of looking at this, and yes, confirmed this is a very real type of weapon that supposedly is being researched, maybe not deployed yet, quote
I got some
unquote.
videos.
Something that is interesting, though, is that they do admit that there are 3 levels of what these beams are capable of doing, which is to deny, degrade, or destroy. And it's... Are you getting into this later?
I mean, we just touched. I literally just said that same thing a little bit different. I used the language that they used. What was it? to generate heat, causing combustion.
Yeah, so this is saying,
ability
so
to ignite.
the little, and I'll send this to Mikey so he can add it to the video, but they have a little image here where it's like, looks like a satellite dish on top of a Humvee, and it's broadcasting this microwave, basically.
You're looking at Raytheons?
Yeah, like, so whenever people approach a certain area, they have this going, and then it gives them such an unpleasant, they're being microwaved.
Yes.
And so they back off, right?
They have sound weapons, too, that do something very similar.
And then there's the degrade level where it's a little more precision based, where it's not going to destroy what it's pointing out, but it's going to mess it up to the point where it's inoperable.
Yep.
And then there's destroy, where it's so
Just makes it spontaneously
so
combust.
like so precise. It's just fine point laser beam that whatever it touches is just going to be destroyed
Yeah, they got freaking laser beams.
on their heads.
Yep. So Raytheon, if you're not familiar with Raytheon, one of the largest defense contractors in the world. What I just showed you, a patent for a high-power microwave directed energy weapon. Patent number US 201-60261-018AA, or 8A1, sorry. This weapon uses microwaves to deliver concentrated energy to a target, causing damage or ignition. The patent describes how the weapon can be used to disable or destroy electronic systems or ignite combustible materials, which can be really anything that can catch on fire. That doesn't mean just gasoline. That means wood, metal, like anything that could theoretically catch on fire if it got hot enough. This can do that. It's designed to be mounted on vehicles, aircraft, or even satellites.
Humvees.
Yep. There's pictures. Raytheon has openly admitted that this technology can be used for, quote, non-lethal purposes, but the line between non-lethal and destructive is razor thin.
Imagine getting hit by a laser from space, but it's non-lethal. You're just like, ow.
Yeah,
And then you have to tell your friends, hey, I got hit by a laser from space.
They have lasers they have laser pointers that you can buy off Amazon that are so powerful that it will literally burn you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Like, can you imagine what that is capable of doing?
Oh.
Yep.
It would be a hole. You would just die.
Yeah. It's, to that point, that actually kind of leads in really well to the next thing I want to talk about. Our good pals at Boeing, with their plasma-based directed energy weapon. So let's go to the diagram of
Space
that.
Nazis.
I don't know if they're using recycled parts for this. Like, I don't know if they got a shortage of parts there where they've got to pull the parts out of the decline bin like they do with the airplanes. But
No, they use all their best parts on the things
the weapons,
that destroy
again,
stuff.
back to, we were talking about it last week, where Boeing, this is why Boeing's able to get away with so much with everything that's happening, because they're involved in things like this also.
Yeah, because they're in the government's pocket.
Yes.
Or maybe the government is in their pocket. I don't really know
I think
how
it'd
that
be
analogy
more.
works.
I mean, I think it'd be more. They have the government kind of on somewhat of a leash because they're using them for a lot of weapons. They know a lot of stuff.
They probably also have like a crap ton of classified information that should they ever decide to prosecute, they would just destroy.
Yep.
The
So-
defense, what was our second episode ever?
The military-industrial complex.
It was
wasn't
our second or third episode ever was about a law. I believe it was called like the Defense Patent Act.
Go back and find that episode and see a young me and Dennis in our infancy of this show.
There is
It's a lot lower quality, but the content's great.
There's
Did you have a
law that they
mustache
can
then
just-
too?
No, I think I had a. I think. Pretty sure I had a beard then. I think I had a beard.
I
then.
really hope when these come out that people like the mustache content, because otherwise we're just gonna have a month of mustache content.
I'm so
No,
sorry.
it's- We have 2 episodes so far of mustache content. We'll see what happens. Like we're gonna I'm gonna throw it up on social media and stuff as soon as Mikey's done editing that episode, so that I can pull that clip.
Look,
out.
I'll drop the mustache talk. I will.
I
But
don't mind it all, really. I can handle a joke. And it looks good. You know, I think I might be starting to get attached to it.
It's certainly attached to you.
Nice.
Oh, I was hoping somebody would take that one. So Boeing and other defense giant, we were just kind of looking at that patent. So like I said, plasma-based directed energy weapon, patent number US 201800807773A1. This weapon generates a plasma beam that can be used to destroy or ignite targets. The patent describes how the weapon can create a plasma channel to deliver energy to a target, causing combustion or structural damage. It's designed to be used in both military and civilian applications.
What?
I don't know, but that's what they said about it.
What?
So you want to see the Boeing?
California bans it because it causes cancer.
Yeah, man.
Civilian applications for a...
So you can have your at-home plasma-directed energy weapon. The consumer edition. So you're ready to see about Boeing. So this is a little bit longer clip, but this is from Boeing talking about this. So let's give this a watch.
It's an unmanned vehicle versus energy, and energy wins. It's called directed energy, and the device delivering the focused firepower is Boeing's compact laser weapons system. The key to Boeing's compact laser weapons system is to focus energy on a spot small enough to heat up and damage a target.
Think of it like a welding torch. Being put on a
Isaac
target
Neal at Boeing.
from many hundreds of meters away.
Didn't you-
The compact laser recently demonstrated its
You said something about him
pinpoint
earlier.
precision in an exercise in Point Mugu, California. The system disabled an unmanned aerial vehicle at a tactical range. This is a look at the laser at work in real time. The focused laser takes down the UAV in seconds.
Once we turn the laser on,
Whoa.
it's about 15 seconds until the drone was clearly disabled.
During previous tests in rugged terrain, the compact laser tracked and lased a tethered UAV. Watch the silent, invisible laser suddenly ignite the vehicle.
If you were on the receiving end of laser energy, you would have no idea where it was coming from or what was even happening.
It's made up of 4 parts: a water-cooled chiller, battery power supply, a fiber laser, and an upgraded beam director. The redesigned beam director helped the system shed unwanted pounds.
First prototype to this system, we shed about 40% of our weight, which basically means that we can move it easier, and also the motors are capable of driving the system faster.
The compact laser system has a 2-kilowatt laser, and much like its bigger cousin, the high-energy laser mobile demonstrator, or LMD, one person can operate both systems. And like the name implies, the compact laser system touts portability.
It's 4 boxes with very simple interconnects.
While lasers have long been the staple of science fiction, the technology is on the brink of becoming battlefield ready.
They're able to engage targets. Boeing has an edge in this since we've been working in lasers for tens of years.
Tens of years.
What a weird
When
phrase.
did
That is a very odd...
That's a 2015. Did I read that right?
Yep. Yep.
We've probably had these since Reagan had the Star
That
Wars in the
video,
80s.
Again, posted by Boeing, 9 years old. 2016 is when that video came out.
Okay. Like I said, Reagan wanted SSDI, the Star Wars, in the 80s.
Yep.
Which means we had to have had something like this in a lab for him to want congressional funding to build space satellite lasers, which means this has probably existed since the early 80s, late 70s.
Probably. At
Which
least some
lasers have
form
been
of it.
around for quite a while,
Yes.
so it's not that hard to think that somebody with enough money as the federal government could just soup that stuff up and just make it super powerful. Like, it's still a beam of light.
Are you talking Death Star right now?
Basically.
Have you never heard of Star Wars? SSDI
Yes.
is the Strategic Defense Initiative.
Okay.
The space
It's a real
strategic-
thing.
Reagan wanted he wanted funding like immediately to build satellites that could shoot down nuclear ICBMs when they were in space. We had the technology at the time, and then his plan was to basically cover space with these satellites that could shoot down nuclear missiles, then share the codes with the Soviets so that a nuclear war would be impossible. We would have like a shield that nobody really controls that just wouldn't let nuclear weapons fly. And it was denied because like it wouldn't be that possible. But like he would have known more than Congress people about like what was possible because he's the president. So like we probably could just build that. It makes me so mad when I think about it because even though it's like you can believe whatever you want about Reagan, but like that's a good idea.
I don't know why that's actually a really good idea.
It's a really good idea. I know, and it makes me so mad
40 years ago. 40 years ago.
Wow.
It's called SSDI, if you ever want to look it up.
I will.
So across the pond, the United Kingdom has been quietly developing its own DEW technology. Let's talk about Dragonfire. Yes, that's what they called it, Dragonfire.
It's metal.
A high-energy laser weapon system being developed by the UK Ministry of Defence in collaboration with defense giants like BAE Systems and Leonardo. What is Dragonfire? Dragonfire is a laser-directed energy weapon capable of tracking and destroying targets at the speed of light. It's designed to be mounted on ships, vehicles, even aircraft, making it a versatile tool for both defense and offense. The system boasts the ability to hit a 1 pound coin from a kilometer away, showcasing its pinpoint accuracy. But here's the kicker. Dragonfire's laser can also be tuned to ignite materials or disrupt electronic systems, making it a potential tool for starting fires or disabling infrastructure. So let's take a look at Dragonfire now.
Please sign the petition.
Sorry, there's an ad. Mikey's going to get rid of that.
Is that kid getting lasered?
Please give me
Oh my
Dragonfire.
God. I don't want to watch that.
Shows the Dragonfire laser-directed energy weapon system in action, and
no.
it could be in the hands of military personnel in 5 years' time. It destroys targets with an intense beam of light and has pinpoint accuracy. It's able to hit something the size of a 1 pound coin from a kilometre away.
So we've been talking about the cost of firing a laser weapon to be £10 a shot. And really all we're talking about is the cost
10 pounds
of
a
the
shot.
energy that you
That's
need
nothing.
to fire the laser weapon. Obviously, once
God,
you've
I
got
could do at least
the
like
system in
50 of
place in the
those.
first place. And that compares very favourably with missiles, which might be thousands or tens of thousands or even more per single shot.
Scientists say Dragonfire proved itself in testing in Scotland and has the potential to transform the UK's defence capability. It could be used on land or sea and would remove the reliance on high-cost ammunition.
Drones are a really good example of the kinds of targets that a laser weapon will be very effective against. And certainly in our demonstrations, drones are one of the targets that we've successfully engaged on a number of occasions at really useful ranges.
Britain isn't alone in developing this technology. Militaries around the world see the advantage, like Israel, which has Iron Beam, designed to destroy short-range objects too close for the Iron Dome system.
We don't like to compare Dragonfire too specifically with what's being done in other countries, because they have their own research programs which we're not privy to.
But you're all
what I
firing
would note is
lasers.
that the Dragonfire technology that we've designed is UK bespoke technology, which is owned by us and can be used by us in support of generating laser weapons for our own platforms in future.
Dragonfire is now back from Scotland and will potentially be involved in further trials. Claire Sadler, Forces News.
Okay,
Wow.
I know this is.
watching.
I know this is a conspiracy show. I know I talk a lot of trash on the government and the military-industrial complex. But there's something inside of me, little 80s baby, testosterone. When I see a video of a late level U.S. or allies shooting a laser off a battleship, I'm like, let's go. Like, it does make me feel kind of good if we ever get into it with China or something that we're going to be like taking out the laser.
Too.
Yeah, we'll see. Not as good of lasers.
You know, I'm not
That's the hope.
really disappointed that the technology exists because I think there's a place for it. It's just, you know, if it truly is being used nationally, then obviously that's a huge problem. But
Well, our government's definitely never done stuff against its own citizens, so I think we're fine.
I know. I still, we'll get into it, but yeah, it's not surprising that the technology exists, and I'm not mad that it does, because it does save money on, you know,
Missiles?
ammunition and defense weapons and whatever. So if like we can eventually get to the Star Wars pew pew pew, then it's just, high energy going and not like, listen, I'm being serious right now.
I know.
Pew pew.
Pew 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 pew.
It's only 10 pounds a shot. That's
Yeah, it's cheap. It's cost
That's what I'm
effective.
saying.
If we're gonna shoot
It's
stuff,
not
let's save
that-
some money while we do it. In this economy,
Listen, it's not like I agree with war. I don't like that this is even. I don't like that it exists. I understand why it exists. I'm just not yet sold that it's something that was used against our own
well, I mean, you
country.
saw the green laser. That looked a lot like Dragonfire's laser that they just shot.
Yeah, but that also looked a lot like a high-powered laser pointer in a lot of fog.
There were a lot of people that said they saw it, though.
A lot of people can see that too.
That's true.
But the thing is that from what I read, that video was recorded and posted months before.
But there's witness accounts that did interviews and stuff also. Like, you can find those
that
as well.
stated it was the cause of the Texas fire.
Maui and L.A. specifically, that people saw it. Like, Maui, we gave a quote from one of the shopkeepers there that said he saw that catch the courthouse on fire.
Oh, I'm not. I'm. It wouldn't surprise me.
Well,
hope
and the
not,
thing is,
but-
a lot of stuff, much like we're finding with things we put out sometimes, stuff gets scrubbed and hidden on the internet if it's not the narrative that those who are in control want it to be.
That's true.
Like,
yeah.
things get shadow banned, things get hidden, things get deleted. Like, anybody who pokes around at this kind of stuff online knows, like, stuff's up there and then it disappears. And then it's just kind of lore of people talking about it.
Yeah, and it's just the powers that be can rewrite history just however they want to rewrite
Exactly.
it. I understand. Yeah, I get it. And that video is extremely creepy, and it still gives me the creeps. But
So at this point, like, there was a lot of stuff as these things were happening that it's hard to, like, you can find people talking about seeing it, but you can't go back and find it. It's just, like, been scrubbed from the internet. It just disappears. I mean, we've known China does that for years now. When the show started, with everything that was happening in 2020.
why would China scrub that, though?
Well, no, I'm just giving an example of
Oh,
government
okay.
scrubbing stuff. So everything that was happening in 2020, and the thing that happened that did the thing, when it started there were videos coming out that they scrubbed, but there were people sending it to the Tibetan Times, which is outside of regular China's control. It's like a free area. And they were dissipating a lot of that information and a lot of those videos coming out from the internet. But China actively scrubs their internet.
Yeah.
So to think that they can do it and we can't do it is like, that's crazy to think. Like, if
Of course, they're not hiding it.
so, that's the thing is, they're much more open based on their system. That, like, we're going to take stuff down that we don't like that's against us.
Yeah.
In
That's just the
America,
norm.
we make it seem more like, oh, you guys can say whatever you want. It's freedom of speech, and it's not. It is, but it isn't.
No.
We won't necessarily probably throw you in jail for it, but like we might make it so that nobody sees the thing you're saying, or then everybody that saw it sounds crazy when they talk about it.
Well, it's not freedom of speech. It's whatever platform you're posting on is their stipulations or their.
And most of them are pretty entangled with.
Well, that's how they get away with it.
Yep. So while the UK government claims Dragonfire is for defensive purposes, the technology's potential for offensive use is undeniable. If a laser can destroy a drone or a missile, what's to stop it from igniting a forest or a building? Dragonfire is just one example of how DEW technology is advancing globally. And while the UK may not be as vocal about its capabilities as the US, its involvement in this arms race is a stark reminder this isn't just an American problem, it's a global one.
I just want to point out there's a very thin line between defensive and offensive. If you're shooting down a plane,
That's true.
how do you call that defensive anyway?
Well, it depends on what the plane's doing and where
Bullets
it's at.
also shoot down planes.
That's true, but
You can't call a bullet a defensive weapon.
Well, it is in certain scenarios.
That's all how you use it.
Well, yeah.
That's what, yeah.
So here's where things get even more unsettling. And I got to be really careful about my terminology here based on way we've been getting treated about recent topics online. But there's a patent titled Method and Apparatus for Altering a Region in the Earth's Atmosphere, Ionosphere, or Magnetosphere. Patent number US 4686605A describes a system that can alter weather patterns using electromagnetic energy. And let's take a look at that patent real quick. So that one, the 65A. So that's this one. And you guys can all look that up. I gave you the number. There's just clips from it, a little bit about it. But it's a patent that outlines how high-frequency energy can be used to heat the atmosphere, potentially creating conditions for wildfires or other disasters. This patent suggests that the weather, I'm going to be careful about my wording, could be changed, and I mean, it's better than the buzzword.
The stuff that happens in the sky.
The sky stuff.
Involving clouds.
Weather does change. That is a completely true statement.
Yes.
Could be.
But I'm talking about it in an unnatural way that's affected by men.
Reorganized.
Reorganized.
Weather reorganization.
I'm
We
going to
are
reorganize your weather.
Upsizing the weather.
It's getting a glow up.
The blow up.
So it isn't just possible, it's already been developed. And if you can control that, again, back to a couple episodes and a quote from a general, you can control the world. Mm-hmm. But enough about that. Let's move on to one of the most just profound and influential people of the last couple hundred years, Nikola Tesla.
Uh-oh.
The father of modern electricity. He allegedly designed a, quote, death ray in the early 20th century. And so let's take a look at this diagram real quick. So this is Tesla's death ray.
And you cannot bring up Nikola Tesla on a conspiracy show without mentioning that after his death in 1943, his papers were seized by the government and given to MIT professor John G. Trump, Donald Trump's uncle.
What?
Wow.
No way.
Yep.
Google it.
Mind blown.
So this is just one of the drawings from Nikola Tesla's invention, his theoretical invention that he called the death ray. So, so when death ray early 20th century, Tesla's original plans were never fully realized. Modern patents, though, have picked up where he left off, which is what I just showed. That was the apparatus for transmission of electrical energy, patent number US 645576A, which describes a system for transmitting energy over long distances. The patent describes how energy can be focused into a beam and directed at a target, causing destruction or ignition. So all these weapons that we see now, this is likely the root of where all that research started. Tesla thinking up theoretically back then. So Tesla laid the groundwork, the foundation for modern DEWs, and his vision of a death ray is eerily similar to weapons that we're discussing right now. These patents prove that directed energy weapons aren't just the stuff of conspiracy theories. They're real, and they're being developed by some of the most powerful organizations in the world. And if these weapons exist, it's not a stretch to imagine they're being used in ways we're not being told about. So, why would they be using these against ordinary citizens of various countries, though? And this brings us to our next point that I want to talk about. I set all that up, so DEWs are real. We got them. How they're using them, we can debate that. But while fires clear the land, cities around the world are rolling out a new model of utopia. And I'm sure you guys have heard about these. The 15-minute smart city. But let's peel back the greenwash slogans and you'll find a dystopia. So let's go to Los Angeles, the prototype. So Los Angeles is leading the charge with its Climate Action Framework, a partnership with Google's Sidewalk Labs to create a digital twin of the city. Every streetlight watches you. Every e-bike logs your route. Every smart meter finds you for excessive AC use. The plan mandates installing 500,000 plus IoT Internet of Things sensors citywide by 2035 to monitor air quality, traffic, and public behavior systems. LAPD's predictive analytics programs uses AI to track high-risk neighborhoods, while smart streetlights with facial recognition cameras now blanket downtown LA and Koreatown. And this is all coming from something that LA put out not that long ago. The Smart LA plan put out by the city of Los Angeles, Smart LA 2028, technology for a better Los Angeles. This is how many page document is this? You guys can look this up. It's very easy to Google. It's a 50-some page document outlining all of this. And they've gone on to talk about it in press conferences. They're not shy. They haven't been shy about talking about this, that this is what they want to do with LA. So they want to add mobility restrictions. The city's urban mobility in a digital age, that's a quote, initiative phases out private car ownership, replacing it with GPS-tracked e-bikes and autonomous shuttles that log riders' destinations. But the most alarming piece, LA's partnership with Sidewalk Labs, which is a Google subsidiary, to create a digital twin of the city, a real-time virtual replica fed by data from drones, security cameras, and citizen smartphones. So they're going to map out everything that's happening and then be able to place where everybody's at through facial recognition. Something very similar to what's already being developed and deployed and openly talked about in China. That's the thing. They have social credit scores. They're tracking everybody, and they're building that out. We're also doing that here too.
Here
in LA,
oh.
Not here.
I was like, what?
No, not yet.
Oh,
not yet. I'm sure
you would be surprised if you Google how many cities have smart city initiatives or are planning to. Mm-hmm. I'm looking at kansascity.gov. I know you don't live in Kansas City proper, but they have a whole webpage, Smart City, Kansas City become a smart city by that. So many cities from pretty much our size up, Albuquerque, Fort Worth, definitely the big ones are moving towards this. I did a little expose on this on my other channel, MK Usual. We could do a whole thing on who funds this. And who are you getting into that?
We're going to touch on it.
Okay, yeah, let's just go. Yeah, because
it's
it's not just all these cities.
This is a global initiative.
It's not all these cities just independently being like, let's become a smart city. Nope. Like there are very specific non-governmental organizations that are funding this. They go to these cities and they go to these mayors who usually spend their time failing to stop crime and worrying about the sports teams and whatever, and they come and go, here's something really cool you can do. You can become a smart city. And they're like, Fort Worth's doing it, Albuquerque's doing it, Kansas City's doing it, and Atlanta's doing it. And so it makes you big time to have a smart city. And all of this material comes from certain international and national non-governmental organizations, NGOs. It's a nationwide, worldwide plan to integrate pretty much everybody and to put us in a little rat maze. It's really scary. It's really weird.
Well, it makes you wonder why, if maybe that's why we're hearing so much more about plane crashes and why we seem to be having more issues and they're being more televised than they used to be, because they don't want you to go anywhere. They want you to stay in your little bubble.
Have you ever gotten in your car at a certain time of day and your Google Maps automatically goes,
oh, yeah, it knows where I'm going.
You are 15 minutes from Planet Fitness. Yep. You are 15 minutes from work. You are.
Oh, yeah, it figures out what time I'm going to the gym. It knows about what time I do things. And once I do it enough times, Apple does it.
They're going to be able to track you.
Yes, they already are. Your phone's doing it. It's tracking you all the time. It's following you around everywhere you go. It knows where you are all the time. And
I know that. But when I use Google Maps or Apple Maps or whatever, it doesn't advertise things to me.
Do you go the same places in super frequency at the same time?
I stay at home all the time.
See, there you go. If you were out doing
you are 0 minutes from home.
That's what I mean. If you have a place you go multiple times a week and you keep doing it, eventually your GPS will just start. If you have CarPlay with Apple, if you go the same place about the same time every day, after a little while, it'll just start saying, you're 8 minutes away from Genesis Fitness, things like that.
Huh.
It's just like, oh, he usually goes to the gym and this time.
Man, I don't know if I should be disappointed in myself right now, or like I don't leave my house
out of the
enough
house a little bit more. It's
my
like we don't even
phone.
need to help her. We know exactly where she is.
She's within this little square area
Yep.
all the time.
So when we're talking about these U.S. cities, the thing is, we're actually kind of behind what's going on in the rest of the world. I mentioned China, who's been very open about it. Again, much different government there, and like they don't really care about like, does anybody know what we're doing? But this isn't the only place where this is happening.
Isn't China a dictatorship?
Yes, I mean that's one way to put it. Yeah, I mean they're communist, but not in the traditional sense that you think about. They're a weird hybrid. I kind of look at them as like an experiment of where
Like
what
not
I'm about
like
to explain.
not
I
like
think they're literally
North
fascism.
Korea.
They're fascism's a better way to put it. Yeah.
They have
Okay.
they have a part. It's a one party system, but they do
Well, because
the party elects a chairman.
Yeah.
So it's this chairman, the leader they have now, the president, that is much more dictatorial than certain ones in the past. Certain ones
They
in
don't
the
have
past.
term limits or anything
No,
like that,
no.
though.
I mean, well, technically there are like elections.
They have
Just
elections.
like we have elections.
Well, but theirs are even more.
I mean, right now, I think Xi is president for life. They used to have term limits. But
I think you're right.
He's gone above. Like if you look at their leadership, like in the late '90s, early 2000s, like they were a little more democratic, but they've always been one party.
Well, it's not communism or fascism the way that we think about it in a traditional sense, the way that they operate, because they're so integrated with.
I think it's fascism.
Well, I mean, but the way they interact with the rest of the world and commerce and everything, it's a weird kind of hybrid at this point. Some people kind of view it as more of a experimentation ground when we can get into what's happening with the UN and their involvement with China, but more of when you look at what the UN wants to do globally with a global initiative, it seems more like China would be more of like a testing ground almost for like figuring out like social credit scores and stuff like that. It isn't like communism and fascism the way we looked at it like 100 years ago.
Aren't they like pretty close with Russia, though?
Yes.
And then
Somewhat.
Well, that's yes
we
and no.
won't get into that this episode. I'm
Yeah.
just
We get bogged down in like geopolitical
I know,
stuff pretty hard.
I know.
But I'm just more trying to showcase because this is more coming from a UN initiative with all this 15 minutes. I'm going to dig into it a little bit more, but that's kind of where this is coming from. Like it's from a globalist perspective, and this is kind of how they want to get there and what they'd like to do with areas. So Paris, under Mayor Anne Hidalgo, has been a global poster child for the 15-minute city concept. The city has transformed entire neighborhoods into self-contained pods. Again, they're just trying this in little areas, little pockets right now, where residents are encouraged or sometimes forced to live, work, and consume within strict boundaries. Dynamic pricing. Toll algorithms charge drivers exponentially more for leaving their designated zone.
what?
Yes.
Okay, keep going.
This is like how they work their roads. Like if you're going to go certain distance away from you in certain areas.
So
like,
instead of having like a taxis, they have dynamic pricing.
yes. Like
Okay.
you want to go farther away from this area, and they're just trying it in little spots right now. It's not nationwide. They're like trying it with different areas. So the city's climate wallet app assigns residents a monthly carbon budget. Exceed it by driving too far, your mobility credits get slashed. New apartment complexes like the Paris Digital Hub require biometric IDs for entry, and they link utilities to social media activity.
Biometric IDs.
Yeah, so like your fingerprint.
Your face structure,
Your face,
the
stuff
way
like
you
that.
walk
Yep.
is one of them.
Yep.
It can tell people, you see the little wireframe of people, like when they're wearing those things on them, like for CGI effects and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
So these cameras are so good that they can
pick up your
they
game.
can identify you based on the way your knees and legs and how big your steps are and how fast you walk, and like they can use that to match it to your face. And in China, they literally can identify you by the way you walk.
Yep.
It's horrifying.
That's why I say China is kind of like the test model, and where they're really like pushing this stuff hard because they can get away with it and nobody can push back because of the type of system that they're
You
in.
think people get like advertisements for chiropractic people. They're like, their gait's a little fucking off. So they're like, you're a little pigeon toed.
Your hip flexor seems off. Here's a good chiropractor. The kicker, though, Paris's 15-minute city model is being rolled out under the guise of climate action with backing of the C40 Cities Network, a global alliance of 100-plus cities committed to 15-minute principles by 2030. So while Western cities are just beginning to implement 15-minute city concepts, like we were just talking about with all the different places that are like have stuff on their website about how we'd like to do this, China has been perfecting the model for years. Under the guise of smart city development, China has created a surveillance state that makes Orwell's 1984 look pretty quaint, honestly. China's 15-minute cities are fully integrated with its infamous social credit system. Residents are rewarded or penalized based on their behavior. Then this can range from like recycling habits to social media posts. Fail to comply, your access to public transport, jobs, and even groceries can be restricted.
So if you post something negative about the government, your
Oh, yeah,
social
you
credit
can't-
score goes down.
Yeah,
If
you
you
can't do
litter.
that in China. That's a best case scenario for you. Like there's a good chance you could end up in jail for it. Oh yeah, China's like they're years ahead of us in this, and that's why I kind of think, and we're going to get into some of the UN.
Some of this, I feel like, some of it, I kind of like the idea, but that is like, this is a perfect example of a good thing being used for evil.
This is from 2019, so we're 6 years ahead. China bans 23 million people from buying travel tickets, trains, planes as part of social credit system. This is from The Guardian. It's also on Al Jazeera. They have blocked millions of, quote, discredited travelers from buying plane or train tickets as part of the social credit system. According to National Public Credit Information Center, Chinese courts banned would-be travelers from buying 17.5 million flights in 2018, and millions more are placed on a travel blacklist for not
my
being, quote,
God.
trustworthy.
Trustworthy?
It could be everything from what you post online. It could be littering. It could be jaywalking.
Okay, I take back my previous statement.
It could be smoking.
How I
Smoking
liked
is
some
one of them, I
this.
believe.
Smoking?
I believe is one of them, yeah, because they want to discourage smoking. So you have a slightly lower credit score. You literally couldn't visit your family if you needed to like hop a train.
Yep.
Because you just beat. It's like that Black Mirror episode.
It is. I was just thinking about, gosh, that episode was so hard to watch. So hard to watch.
Well, it might be real life here soon.
No, I don't. Oof.
I mean, that's the again, China's ahead of us because I get.
What's the difference between, I'm sorry to interrupt you, but what is the difference between China and their citizens like this happening versus if they tried to deploy something like this in the United States, there would be riots.
You would hope.
Would there be though?
I mean,
if
maybe
your bills were paid and you had food in your
2020
belly,
if our bills are paid, so that's the caveat.
that part.
What do you say?
How'd 2020 go?
People fell into line really fast.
Yes, they did.
Yeah.
Everybody did.
Okay, that's a
2
good
weeks.
point.
That's all we needed, you guys. So cities like Shanghai and Shenzhen are blanketed with facial recognition cameras that track every move. The system is so advanced that it can identify individuals in a crowd of thousands and flag suspicious behavior in real time. During 2020, when we had all that stuff going on, China's 15-minute cities were used to enforce hyper-localized lockdowns. If a single case was detected, entire neighborhoods were sealed off using automated barriers and drones. You remember seeing those videos?
Yeah.
Automated barriers?
Yep.
Like they'd pop out of the ground?
Yep.
So they're actually doing some of that again recently because there's like a new flu or something.
They'd go around and board up buildings. Like the government would come around and board up people's like apartment doors.
If there was like a case of confirmed COVID
Yep,
that somebody...
and then if people tried to leave that building and all, yep, we'll lock you in there. Hope you got food.
I mean, Really?
Yep.
They couldn't just starve them out.
Oh, I don't think you realize what that government will do to its people. They don't care.
Careful what you say.
I mean, we already said it. That was the first episode of this show. Was what was going on there during all that, because we were talking about it before it ever happened here.
Okay, now that we're going down this rabbit hole, I remember when the epidemic first started, I saw pictures of China and these gigantic mass graves.
Mm-hmm. Oh,
Just
we
like-
looked at satellite images that were burning piles of bodies.
And because I don't know if maybe I'm just naive and I don't understand, but I feel like their death count was so much worse.
This is so crazy. Just this week, I somehow slipped into this whole area of YouTube where I keep getting videos about people saying that China actually lost like 400 to 500 million people.
I don't know that it was that. It was a lot, though.
I keep getting these videos that are saying that, one, they were lying about their population to begin with. This would be a whole other show. But two, there's all kinds of weird data, like the number of cell phone numbers that exist, the number of like rice they import from elsewhere. There's all this weird data that like coincides with the idea that they lost like a couple 100 million people at least.
So they lied about their population count.
Well, apparently they just already puff it up a little bit, but
They puff it up.
when bad stuff happens like COVID,
They puff it down.
well, no, they want you to think they have 1.3 billion people, but they really might have like 700 million or something like we might not be actually that far off. And there's all these videos, and again, this is like maybe I've gone too deep, but there's all these videos of people in China talking about how like here's a video of this street in like 2015 and it's just like full of people, and like here's a video of the street now and it's just like dead empty. And then there's all these diseases that are killing people that are millennials. So like for some reason in China, like other than the people who are like 80 or 90, like the highest death rate occurs to people who are like in their mid 30s. And nobody, and so I've seen just all these interviews where people are like, yeah, I've lost so many friends. They're in their mid 30s. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, look at this street. It used to have like 10 vendors and they're open till 3 a.m. Now there's like one store. It could be economic. It could be a mixture of things, but like, I'm starting to believe that China's just like outright lying about the number of people that they have.
I mean, we know they lie about a lot of different things, like when it comes to their numbers, like just period.
Yeah.
Like that's been a recurring thing that's gone on for a very long time.
And maybe I'm too far down the rabbit hole, but it's so odd that you said that because I'd never heard that in my life until like 5 days ago.
Really?
Yes.
Because I know that the epidemic was hard on everyone, and I totally understand that. But we didn't have bodies on the street.
I know.
It seemed like whatever happened there was much worse than what ended up here.
Well, I remember seeing videos of it, and it wasn't AI generated videos because it was people recording themselves, with the background, just like asking for help, and there's just people just dead on the sidewalks, like outside of the hospital. They don't have room for anyone, and then they have people in hazmat suits with a gigantic, like maybe a quarter of a football field wide mass grave just full of bodies.
I'm not going to be able to do it right now. We definitely can't show it here because it'll probably get the whole thing pulled down. Yeah, we have videos of that. That was part of the first episode we did that we put. That
so
was
you
part
know
of
what I'm talking about.
That was part of our promo.
I could
you remember that?
Yeah.
I never found that video
again.
I tried to tell people about this and I never found it again.
Yeah, it's because, again, they scrub it.
Yeah.
This is what I'm talking about with all this stuff when you're like, no, that can't be true. Like, show me something. It's like, yeah, you kind of got to catch it in the moment, and then you have to save it right then because they go and find all of it and take it away because they don't want everybody to know about this.
Yeah, it got to the point where I was like, did I just like dream that or something?
It's real. I've still got it somewhere on my computer because we did a promo for it. In fact, it's still up. It just is not allowed to be shown on a certain streaming channel anymore.
This is odd. Apparently, China has not completed a full census since 1988.
Who? Your point.
And they just base their one, they're the only source. They're the only source.
That's for them
which
for most things.
Makes sense. I mean, but they haven't done one since 1988, and it's just based on a birth rate.
Mm-hmm.
They just say, well, with 2.3% birth rate, it would be 1.3 million now, but we actually don't have any information on their death rate or actual census data.
Didn't they lift the one child?
I believe they loosened that up recently, but I mean, so
they got to boost up their population again.
I think it was one girl.
No, it was one child.
It was one child?
It was one child,
but people would
and
kill
people...
the girls.
Oh, that's right. That's
people
what it was.
got rid of the girls because
right.
they couldn't... Gosh, it's so depressing. It makes me so mad.
So, yeah, during all that, they confined the residents to pods. They did, I guess, they did bring they did bring groceries in some cases. But, yeah, they locked people up in their places. They would deliver stuff with, robots. Because, again, people were falling out in the streets.
Do they have super high tech, the Addams Family, but a whole bunch of those AI fingers that just run around all over the place, deliver their groceries for them?
It was some, whatever that company was, Clone AI or whatever. Yeah.
And all I can do is
the Westworld robot.
Do the come here motion. These are your groceries.
But China isn't just using this model domestically, it's exporting it through its Belt and Road Initiative. China is building smart city infrastructure in developing nations, effectively spreading its surveillance state model across the globe. So we keep hinting at this part. I'm just going to go ahead and get into this because this is where it kind of all ties together again. It just... Sam's got the hiccups. So the 15-minute city isn't just a local initiative. It's part of a global agenda, like I've been saying. The United Nations Agenda 2030 explicitly promotes the concept as a key strategy for achieving its Sustainable Development Goals, SDGs. So goal number 11, sustainable cities and communities. The UN calls for, quote, inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable urban areas. But dig deeper, and you'll find that sustainable often means restrictive. The UN has partnered with tech giants like Microsoft, Siemens, and UI to develop smart city infrastructure worldwide.
Cisco.
Yep. A whole bunch of companies. Those are just some of the big boys.
The fat company?
No, they make
what Crisco.
Oh yeah.
Cisco does data.
They're like data. Yes, Crisco. Crisco's real deep in this. We're gonna grease them up real good. We're gonna get them larded up, and they're not gonna want to go anywhere.
They want you fat and trapped.
Fat and trapped. That's the slogan. So these partnerships prioritize data collection and centralized control over individual freedoms. So I'm sure you guys have probably heard the term the Great Reset. The World Economic Forum, the WEF, a key player in UN's Agenda 2030, has openly promised the 15-minute city as part of its Great Reset initiative. The World Economic Forum's founder, Klaus Schwab, has stated that the pandemic was a, quote, rare but narrow window of opportunity to reflect, reimagine, and reset the world. The UN's involvement in 15-minute city agenda goes far beyond mere promotion. It's actively funding and coordinating the rollout of smart city infrastructure through various programs and partnerships. Back to what you were talking about with...
Yeah.
They're going out to cities and being like, hey, so this is going on. This city's doing it. You want to be in the cool club? This is what we're doing. You got crime? We can help you with that. The United Nations Human Settlements Program, UN Habitat, is spearheading the global push for smart cities. Its, quote, new urban agenda calls for the creation of, quote, compact, connected, and inclusive urban areas, code for 15-minute cities. The UN has partnered, again, with tech giants, They're funding this all through its Sustainable Development Goals Fund. The UN provides financial incentives for cities to adopt smart city technology, but these funds come with strings attached. Cities must agree to implement UN-approved policies, including carbon rationing and digital ID systems. The 15-minute city model isn't confined to a handful of urban centers. It's a global movement, with cities around the world adopting the concept under the guise of sustainability and climate action. But beneath the surface, these initiatives share a common thread: increased surveillance, restricted mobility, and centralized control. So Melbourne's 20-minute neighborhoods plans, the plan for this aims to make all essential services, which includes grocery stores, schools, healthcare, parks, accessible within a 20-minute walk, bike ride, or public transport trip. This sounds great, right? But here's the catch. The city is rolling out a network, again, of IoT sensors and smart cameras to monitor foot traffic, air quality, and public behavior. These devices feed data into a centralized AI system that can track individuals in real time. To discourage car use, Melbourne has introduced dynamic tolling. Much like in Paris, drivers are charged exponentially more for leaving their designated zone. Meanwhile, public transport is being replaced with GPS-tracked e-bikes and autonomous shuttles that log riders' destinations. Residents are assigned a monthly carbon budget through the city's Climate Wallet app. Exceed your limit by driving too far or using too much energy, your mobility credits get slashed and your utilities are throttled.
What? So, like, your power will be shut off?
That's exactly what that means.
Or they'll just say you've used too much, you can't turn your thermostat under 76 degrees for the next
stuff like that.
week or something like that. There's no reason to collect the data if you're not going to do stuff like that.
Crazy.
So critics argue that the plan will lead to increased surveillance and restricted mobility, effectively trapping residents in their neighborhoods. But again, not the only city doing this. Barcelona's Superblocks initiative is one of the most radical urban redesigns in the world. The city has divided itself into 9 block zones, where vehicle traffic is heavily restricted and public space is prioritized for pedestrians and cyclists. Automated barriers and cameras enforce strict traffic rules. If you try to drive through a superblock without permission, you'll be fined, or worse, your vehicle will be remotely disabled.
What?
Yeah.
No more police chases, huh?
I mean, that's kind of what, I mean, we've already kind of got all new cars. Like, that's a thing.
Would you really even need police at that point? You would just need investigators just to...
I mean, yeah. I mean, we're getting to that point. I mean, we're talking about predictive stuff where, like, they're grading people on, like, the likelihood that they would murder somebody or something. Yeah,
There's
that's a whole thing. Yes, it is.
England just announced they have an AI-driven.
I wonder
There it
where
is.
I
Murder
fall
predictor.
on that list.
Yep.
I want to know.
Yeah, I know you love your.
Where do I fall on that list?
I mean, it's not here yet. You'd have to move to England right now. You're like, I could be a little
Maybe
British.
I would.
I could be a little British.
I like tea.
So the city's smart infrastructure collects data on everything from foot traffic to noise levels. This information is fed into a centralized AI system that can predict and manipulate public behavior. Barcelona's government has openly admitted that the superblocks are designed to change the way people live. Critics argue that this is code for social engineering, forcing residents to adopt a specific lifestyle under the guise of sustainability. While touted as a win for the environment, the Superblocks initiative is also a win for centralized control. Now back to China. Shanghai's 15-minute community life circles is what they call it, are part of a broader push to integrate urban areas into China's social credit system. Residents are rewarded or penalized based on their compliance with sustainability goals. The city is blanketed with facial recognition cameras that track every move. The system is so advanced that it can identify an individual in a crowd of thousands and flag suspicious behaviors in real time. Back to 2020, Shanghai used its 15-minute city infrastructure to enforce hyper-localized lockdowns. If a single case was detected, entire neighborhoods were sealed off using the automated barriers and drones, residents were confined to their pods, and groceries were delivered. The city's social credit system is integrated with its 15-minute city model. Residents are rewarded for good behavior, again, like recycling, public transport, and penalized for bad behavior. This model is a glimpse into the future of 15-minute cities. Total surveillance, total control. But it doesn't stop there. Copenhagen, Denmark. Copenhagen is often hailed as a model of sustainability, but its 15-minute city initiatives reveal a darker side. The city's, quote, green neighborhoods plan aims to make all essential services accessible within a 15-minute walk or bike ride. The city uses AI to analyze data from smart meters, traffic sensors, and social media.
How is that possible?
What?
15-minute walk or bike ride?
Yeah, you're not going to go very far.
To get to what?
Everything you need in life.
What?
Your job, your food, your school, all of it.
Are they building up?
No.
That's part
Like
of the
vertically?
Part of the problem with this is if you're worried about stuff like gentrification is like this would almost create like a super version of that because everything would be all the investment and amenities would be in probably already wealthy areas.
Yeah.
And so it would literally push people like farther out from that and then require a lot of people to like work there, can't even afford to live there. It's just like not a good idea.
Yeah, like what about the people that actually work in these places? Do they live 15 minutes, walk or bike ride or whatever the heck?
And when you say build upward, no, that's exactly what the plan is when they're talking about like places where they're going to like build it from the ground up. That is exactly what they want to do. Everybody lives in an apartment.
Well, I hope they have really good architects that understand how earthquakes work.
Well, I mean, we're doing it with, is that, it's not Saudi Arabia, where they're doing the humongous, like.
Are you talking about the line?
Yes.
I think that is Saudi. It might be UAE.
I think it is. It's one or the
Dubai.
other.
I don't know.
It's UAE. It's well, that's who's doing it. I think it is in.
The what?
There's this plan to build a city out in the middle of the desert that's a line.
But it's like
a line.
So imagine your street, but it goes like 20 miles or like 100, and then it's one street. So
can you imagine the traffic?
Well, they're going to build it really high.
Well, they're going to build. Also, there'll be like just public transport.
Yes,
but
they just need to have like every
enclosed,
sidewalk
basically.
needs to be one of those oh my God, the things that move your groceries around.
A conveyor belt?
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Like at the airport?
Yes. Thank you.
And then like your backyard, like your street would just go for miles and miles and miles. That'd be the whole city. Then like your backyard would just be like the wilderness.
I mean, I don't hate that idea, but
it's kind of
that
cool.
seems impractical.
Yeah, I think it's a gimmick.
I mean, I think they're doing it though.
They're working on it.
The
They're working on a lot of
line.
things.
That sounds like, man, living in some Fallout New Vegas times here.
I mean,
It is Saudi
basically.
Arabia.
So back to Copenhagen, though. Residents are assigned a monthly carbon budget, which they can spend on travel, energy use, and even food. Exceed your limit, though, your utilities get throttled, and your mobility credits are slashed.
So they don't have money?
I mean, they still have money, but also,
Like you can use your credits on food too?
yes.
Okay, what about homeless people?
I mean, ideally, they're probably going to try and just get rid of them altogether.
Do we ever think about homeless people when we do city planning? I don't.
Nope. I think everywhere in the world is evidence of that. So while not as overt as China's system, for their social credit light system, Copenhagen's 15-minute city model includes elements of behavioral control. Residents who comply with sustainability goals are rewarded with tax breaks and discounts, while those who don't face fines and restrictions. Copenhagen's model is a softer version of the 15-minute city, but the end goal is the same: control. Now let's come back home. I mean, to our country anyway. Arizona, the next frontier. Now, Arizona, a state known for its sprawling deserts and independent spirit, is now being targeted for smart city development. Cities like Phoenix and Tucson are at the forefront of this push, with plans to transform their urban landscapes into 15-minute zones. Phoenix's Smart Desert City initiative, the city has partnered with tech giants like IBM and Siemens to create a network of smart neighborhoods. These zones will feature IoT sensors, AI-managed utilities, and biometric ID systems for access to public services. Tucson's Sustainable Oasis Plan is rolling out a pilot program that restricts vehicle traffic in designated areas, forcing residents to rely on GPS-tracked e-bikes and autonomous shuttles. They really want these e-bikes. The city has also introduced a carbon rationing system where residents are assigned a monthly carbon budget that dictates their mobility and energy use. But the kicker, Arizona is also one of the states most at risk for wildfires. In 2023, the U.S. Forest Service issued a warning that Arizona's wildfire risk was extreme, citing prolonged droughts and rising temperatures, and this still persists. As a smart city plan moved forward, Arizona residents are facing another alarming trend. Their homeowners insurance is getting canceled all over the place. Yep.
Because they live in Arizona?
Yep.
So it's like kind of like a floodplain here where it's like...
Kind of, but because of wildfires, which didn't used to be a thing that they were really doing anything about.
I just exist in this area.
Yep.
How can you... Okay, well...
So insurance companies have begun designating entire neighborhoods as high risk for wildfires, leading to skyrocketing premiums or outright cancellation. In some cases, residents are being forced to abandon their homes because they can no longer afford the insurance just to have them there. So they're getting rid of them.
Okay, well, that's one way to push people out.
Mm-hmm. Critics argue that the push for smart cities is exacerbating the problem. By concentrating population into high-density zones, corporations and governments are effectively herding people into fire-prone areas. And when the fires inevitably come, the displaced residents will have no choice but to move into smart city pods.
What is a smart city pod?
Like apartments, basically. Like they're little sectioned off areas. And different cities are doing it different ways. Like, that's just kind of a generalized term to describe, like...
I'm just imagining some cyberpunk dystopia where it's, like, cargo...
I'd say that's a very strong possibility.
Boxes? Yeah. What am I thinking? Cargo things. You know, the ones that are on ships.
Like shipping containers?
Containers! Oh, my God. I can't word today. Cargo containers just stacked and stacked and stacked forever above.
Like some Ready Player One stuff?
Yeah. I actually, like, low-key love playing games like that. But
yeah?
It would be a really crappy place to live, that's for sure. Because, I mean, somebody sneezes, that whole thing's coming down.
Yep. So from Melbourne to Barcelona to Shanghai, the 15-minute city model is being rolled out with alarming consistency. The details may vary, but the core principles remain the same. Restrict mobility, monitor behavior, and centralize control. And behind it all is the United Nations, pushing the agenda through its Agenda 2030 and Sustainable Development Goals. The UN's vision of sustainable cities is a world where every movement, purchase, and breath is monitored and monetized. The 15-minute city isn't just about saving the planet, it's about owning the population. When every movement, purchase, and breath is monitored and monetized, dissent becomes impossible. And with wildfires and directed energy weapons clearing the way, resistance will literally be burned out. Los Angeles is the prototype, Paris is the pioneer, China is the enforcer, and the UN is the puppet master. You've been warned. But here's where it gets even darker. After the fires, corporations like BlackRock, Vanguard, and Google swooped in, buying scorched land for pennies. Their plan? High-density climate havens. Stack and pack housing where you'll rent everything, own nothing, and smile for the biometric
Cargo
scanner.
containers.
Yeah. Yep.
See, you called it.
Yep. In the aftermath of the 2023, to come back around to all the wildfires, in 2023, in the aftermath of Maui's wildfires, locals fighting to rebuild Lahaina faced an unexpected adversary. Billionaire investors. corporations and wealthy individuals began purchasing fire-ravaged properties at rock-bottom prices.
Okay, question real quick. How can they purchase? Okay, so if your house burns down, don't you still own that land, property?
Man, yes and no. There's different ways that they can do it.
How no, though?
Well, in certain situations, an area can be kind of cordoned off. I mean, you've heard of like eminent domain, where the government can say like, we're taking this.
Yeah, but
they
that's...
can also say this area is not safe.
Well, also, like your house just burnt down.
Right,
need
like you
somewhere to live,
can't
so
just claim it.
Well, no, they don't. Well,
they sell it. They sell the property.
People sell it because they don't.
They can't afford to rebuild on it.
Yeah, or
they don't have anywhere to live in the meantime. They need to take that money.
So they spent, and it's in Maui, so they probably spent half $500,000 on a piece of crap house that...
Oh, no. I mean, a lot of the people that were there, especially in Lahaina, that's generational. They're natives. Like, it's not, most of them are not people that moved to, like, Hawaii.
So these aren't, like, subdivisions that burned down. It's...
I mean, there was some of that, too. But a lot of this, and especially, like, places like Lahaina, these are, like, generational. Like, these people have lived here. Like, that's their...
Are they not protected like the American Indian people are?
No.
That's a shame.
No.
I think it's as simple as this. If your neighborhood burnt down... most people are going to want to sell anyway.
Yes.
Because it costs so much more to build, especially
I mean, if
now.
your insurance covered it, but according to him, insurance...
Well, depending on where you were. Like, I'm sure some people in Hawaii probably had insurance.
But there's also rezoning. If you lose a whole neighborhood, the government might be like, well, that's gone. You're going to rezone that to like a business.
How can you rezone over someone's property, though?
I don't know. Do you understand how property taxes work and how you never really own anything property-wise?
I understand
like they can come take it away
but...
whenever they want. It's an illusion.
I mean, there's a process.
Exactly. There's a process to it.
They
don't get to just...
Everybody lost everything. So you lose everything. You could just go, you could take your insurance money, go elsewhere. Or are you going to live in a tent or a hotel and take all the time with more expensive stuff to rebuild? It's more expensive to build a house than it's just
and especially since all this has happened in the last 5 years.
You're going to take all that time, whether it's a year or more, to like rebuild on the exact same land, and then there's all these meetings at the local government level trying to like turn your stuff into like this new business district or this new downtown.
Random HOA that is a neighborhood that doesn't exist anymore is like, you can't have a tent on the property.
Yep.
Yeah, if like you and all your neighbors were like, let's live in tents and motels and stay here and wait 2 or 3 years to rebuild the whole thing, and we're going to go every single week to the rezoning and we're going to fight it, and we're going to, like, if you want to live that way for months or years on end, but like that's just not the way
most people don't.
And that's so sad.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
So, like I said, corporations and wealthy individuals began purchasing the fire-ravaged properties at rock-bottom prices. BlackRock, the world's largest asset manager, reportedly acquired over 100 acres of land in Maui, including prime coastal areas.
How much of that was what had burned down?
A lot of it. And back to what you were saying, new zoning regulations pushed by corporate-backed lobbyists ban single-family homes in favor of high-density sustainable housing.
Oh, I hate them so much.
Some of that's already been done.
Yes.
So, for instance, you could just be sitting here in your house, and they could pass a thing that says no new single house building.
Yeah,
and you would be completely unaware because you have your home, you're happy with your home, but that law could be on the books for 5 years, 10 years, and then one day something happens to your house and you're not allowed to rebuild a single family.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because they're like, yeah.
They're just waiting for it to be destroyed so they can just...
In a lot of these cases, yeah. And then if you reach critical mass, you can get into like eminent domain, but... I mean, I would guarantee a lot of areas, probably even in this metro, probably have little things that are like...
How would insurance work in that?
Well, the insurance will pay it out, but you can't rebuild there because it's no longer zoned for that.
Yeah. But
it gets to stay.
Another reason most people would just walk away.
Yep. Because you'd have to fight that, and then you're probably going to lose because you're fighting the people that set that up that way.
That designed the game.
Yep. There it is.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry.
So
Go
the
ahead.
translation for all this, luxury condos for the elite and micro apartments for the displaced. While locals struggled to rebuild, luxury resorts began rising on the ashes. One such project, the Maui Oceanfront Sanctuary, boasts private beaches, helipads, and a members-only club, all built on land that once housed working-class families.
Oh my gosh, that makes me so sick.
You know what's so crazy, too? How much this benefits the rich. One, I understand there's like this whole control element. But also, like, say you're Cisco, you make a particular camera that sits on a street light, it recognizes faces.
Yep.
You directly profit because you're probably the only people who thought to create that.
Yep.
So you go city by city by city selling your cameras. Then you have some disaster. You have some zoning that says if anything ever happens to this area, you got to build a smart city. Okay, poor people out, rich people in. Then it gets worse, too, because, one, it's all for profit. But, two, okay, if you really believed all this stuff, a lot of the stuff is climate based and carbon based. If you really believed that the world was going to flood based on carbon, you would not build a helipad near the ocean.
That's not going to cost them anything to rebuild or redo.
Yeah, but I'm just saying.
They don't care about that,
But I mean,
Dennis.
he's saying the people who like really go after climate change, Bill Gates stuff. You know how much beachfront property they own?
You know how little they actually care?
Well,
It's just an odd choice to make. If you're making a poor person, they have to keep their home at 80 degrees in the summer because they used all their carbon credits and they don't get to eat a hamburger this month. It's a weird thing to do to buy beachfront property if it's so important.
I understand
Yeah.
your point, but also those beachfront properties aren't going to be destroyed or flooded anytime soon, or they could. And guess what? They have billions of dollars to rebuild it however they want to. They don't care.
well, I mean, but if the polar ice caps are melting and everything's about to flood, why would you spend millions and
It's
millions of
not
dollars?
that everything is about to flood. It's slowly flooding.
I wasn't trying to start a general. It's just their actions don't, regardless of how you feel about the sky altering.
Why are they
However we
trying
wanna
to
say
get
it.
everyone to change how they move around the world, how they are driving, and their carbon footprint when you've got these celebrities and billionaires taking private jets
Exactly.
halfway
Because
across
those are the
the
important people.
world,
Exactly.
burning fuel
Yeah.
that could move, it's like they don't care. They're just more interested in appearing pious and appearing like they actually are trying to make changes in this world while guilting the rest of us who actually don't have as big of a carbon footprint as these mega giants do.
Oh, yeah, no way.
You know why, though? Because you're not important. I'm not important. You're not important. We're not billionaires. We don't matter.
No, but because everyone is starting to get up in arms about climate change, they're trying to reverse psychology the whole situation, and by making all of us feel bad. So now we have paper straws, like that's going to do anything.
Well, but they're who started that whole cycle.
I understand that. And it's, this whole movement of electric vehicles. Do you know the power and the resources that are necessary to create the batteries that are in those cars?
They're coal-powered cars.
And how much of that energy is just blown up into our atmosphere? Like, there's no good answer here. And that's, if there is any silver lining to this smart city, the only thing I can think of is the transportation.
If you can afford to live there. It's also, in my opinion, part of the commodification of everything. Kind of like how the housing crisis was because they took all the bad debt and put it into these big piles of bad debt, and then they traded them among banks. Like, the whole end goal with this climate stuff is carbon monetization. So, like, you would have a carbon limit that would include everything from your travel to your utilities, to how much meat you eat. Everybody, if every individual has a carbon limit, then one, the rich people can just buy their way out of it because you can always buy more carbon limits. I was going to say,
that only applies to the peons.
Oh, yeah. And here's
that
what they'll do.
That doesn't apply to them.
But here's what they'll do. They'll commodify us little people's carbon limit. So not only are they selling all the technology to the stuff, you know, if you make $250,000 a year, you'll just buy more limit to have the steak, or you'll just buy more limit to drive a nicer car.
And you know what else?
Yeah.
I bet eventually it'll become another you are the product situation.
That's what I'm saying with commodification.
You can watch ads to get more
possibly
more credits.
That, or you'll have to do something for it, and they'll buy and sell. Your limits will be part of like a financial package that they'll buy and sell. Like
so disgusting.
It was like insurance. Like, yeah. So they'll sell. You'll get a letter in the mail. It's like your carbon limit has been sold to BlackRock this month. And, you know, the terms of your loan
mortgage is constantly being shuffled around to different companies all the time.
They will make your life, what you eat, where you go and stuff, a financial instrument. I believe that is one of the end games here. They will turn it into a financial instrument that they can buy and sell, and they'll literally be essentially buying and selling your life, like people. So it's just a new thing for markets.
You are the product.
Yes, exactly.
You are the product. Yeah.
It sucks.
All these free games, all these free things that you get that are just have constant ads being thrown in your face. You are the product.
What happens when they say people have life insurance, right? What happens when BlackRock owns your carbon limit? They're we'll call it your carbon loan supervisor. They've turned a molecule that we need to live into this financial instrument. One day you get a letter from BlackRock. Hey, we would like to buy your life insurance policy to up your carbon limit by like 0.3 units a month. Now they own that. Hey, we want you to reverse your mortgage so that you can keep the temperature below 80 in the summer.
Right, exactly.
Now they own that.
They can bargain your carbon limit at that point.
If you buy this brand new Chevrolet Volt, we'll give you a
6 months free carbon limit.
They will completely control your life, and it doesn't even have to be like a concentration camp
APR
scenario
anymore.
No.
Yeah, you'll own nothing and you'll like it.
It's
look where we're at.
We're getting there. We're getting there.
How much do we really own?
And imagine if
that's what I was saying with like property taxes stuff. Like it's an illusion.
You pay taxes on stuff that you've already paid sales taxes on, stuff that you bought,
income tax on,
and you pay. You not only that, but you get money taken out of your paychecks for having an income.
Yep. And then we'll tax you when you die too.
And then they'll tax you when you die. You tax you when you get married. You'll tax you when you have kids. They'll tax you or. It's crazy.
Supply
it's
and demand.
So out of hand.
Supply and demand too. Say your grocery store has 1,000 steaks in it, and each steak is $5. Okay.
Oh, I
let's say out of nowhere you wake up one day there's 10% as many cows as there were before because of carbon emissions. Okay, now a steak's $50.
Yep.
They're still gonna the 10%, the 1% can have a steak anytime they want.
Yep.
The companies that sell the steaks do the math, making the same profit. But less overhead, less cows to feed.
Yep.
They just completely can modify all behavior through this.
Yep.
But they will live exactly the same, if not better, because the dirty poor people will be working from home and they're
eating fake meat.
Or bugs, which turns out not good for you.
Bugs?
Oh, yeah. You haven't heard about
Tell that to a frog. Sorry, we gotta get through this.
Tell that to Willow. You know how many times she's eaten June bugs and like her mouth is like buzzing and she just walks around the house.
Yeah,
I love that.
It's so gross.
So the 2025 wildfires in L.A. created a similar opportunity back to everything for corporate land grabs. Back to the Hawaii thing. Neighborhoods like Topanga Canyon and Chatsworth, once havens for free thinkers and artists, were rezoned as sustainability innovation hubs. So sustainability innovation hubs are platforms designed to foster sustainable development and innovation. They serve as centers for collaboration between various stakeholders, including startups, established companies, and research institutions, to address environmental, social, and economic challenges. The United Nations Development Program, the UNDP, operates a policy and innovation hub for sustainable development in Cambodia, which supports the integration of sustainable development goals into national plans and policies. BlackRock, along with other investment giants, purchased vast swaths of scorched land, promised to build, BlackRock in L.A. now. This isn't BlackRock in Hawaii. This is BlackRock in L.A. 2025. Tons of scorched land promising to build, quote, affordable, eco-friendly housing. But the fine print revealed a different story. Rental-only units with no option to buy, managed by AI-driven property systems.
What?
Yep. That's what BlackRock's doing. Biggest real estate owner in the country. And they want to rent all of it.
Man, that's what that bust was for. That old guy.
He's doing all the accounting for
Throwback. I mean, that is exactly what he is there for.
He's here to help.
They don't have a brick and mortar. Like, they just have, like, a little kiosk.
Yeah, but
it's
just
him.
the bust. Yeah.
He's like, your rent is past due by 5 days.
And Google, out in LA too, in partnership with Sidewalk Labs, Google began developing Hollywood Digital Hub, a smart city prototype in the heart of LA. The project includes biometric ID systems, AI-managed utilities, and social credit style scoring systems for residents. So wildfire victims were offered subsidized housing in smart city pods. They surrendered property rights and adopted digital IDs. Those who refused were left to fend for themselves in a market dominated by corporate landlords. So Maui and L.A. are just the tip of the iceberg. From Australia to Europe, wildfires and other climate disasters are being used to justify land grabs and force urbanization. After the devastating 2019-2020 bushfires in Australia, corporations like Marcari Group and Lend-Lease acquired thousands of acres of land, promising to build resilient communities. Instead, they've constructed gated enclaves for the wealthy while displacing rural Australians. In Germany and Belgium, areas devastated by the 2021 floods were rezoned for climate-resilient development. Corporations like Siemens and Allianz are leading the charge, building smart cities that prioritize data collection over human dignity. Allianz, yeah, that's the name of the company.
Huh.
Siemens is another company that's involved in a bunch of stuff.
I work with them a lot.
Oh, do you? Well, they're doing smart cities in Germany.
Doing smut.
They're doing smart cities in Germany and Belgium. I mean, Germans get down. So the United Nations is complicit in this global land grab through its Agenda 2030 and Sustainable Development Goals. The UN promotes sustainable urbanization as a solution to climate change, but behind the scenes, it's facilitating the transfer of land from local communities to corporate elites. The UN has partnered with BlackRock, Google, and other corporations to fund smart city projects worldwide. These partnerships prioritize profit over people, turning land into a commodity and residents into data points. In developing nations, the UN Sustainable Development Initiatives often result in land dispossession. Indigenous communities are forced off their land to make way for corporate-backed smart cities, while local governments are pressured to adopt UN-approved policies. So the billionaire land grab isn't just about profit, it's about control. By owning the land, corporations can dictate how we live, work, and interact. And with wildfires and directed energy weapons clearing the way, resistance will literally be burned out. Maui is the warning, LA is the prototype, and the world is the target. This isn't urban planning, it's climate colonization. So why burn the world to save it? Because this isn't about saving anything, it's about control. use the DEWs to manufacture disaster, blame climate change to justify mass relocations, herd survivors into 15-minute cities where AI governs everything. And if you resist, well, wildfires aren't the only thing that can be directed. Folks, this isn't prophecy, it's policy. The patents are filed, the sensors are installed, the land is stolen. The only question left is, will we wake up before the grid locks us in? As always, stay paranoid, stay prepared, and remember the truth isn't just out there, it's burning down the door. That's DEWs and Smart Cities, you guys.
Yay.
Great job, man.
So thank you all so much for being here. Hit the like, share, subscribe. Get at us on crypticaccounts.com. Help us out on Patreon. We want to do more of this kind of stuff, and we could use the help. Thank you so much for all the comments, everything you guys do. We appreciate you being here. Tell a friend about it. That helps us more than anything. Share this somewhere. That helps us more than anything. Get on social media, follow us, share all the stuff there. We appreciate it. Thank you to the whole team, and we will be back next week. Love you guys.
Cryptic Accounts is a fan-funded show brought to you by you. Please visit crypticaccounts.com to find out how you can help support the show. Your hosts are Patrick Ryan, Dennis Cheney, and Sam Roach. The show is produced by, and the theme music is written by, Michael Kruger at Birdseye Music. We thank you for listening, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. We'll see you next week. Stay paranoid.